We aren't often given much choice as to how to overcome certain puzzles, areas, enemies, or situations in video games. It makes a lot of sense that we are limited to using the right tool for the right job. You'll probably notice, however, that this can let games become simple, predictable, maybe even stale. I've talked before about how Hollow Knight or Risk of Rain are enjoyable, and how I think that they can improve. But this time, let's talk about flexible game design. The first way to make a game more flexible is the most simple of all the solutions. And the most lazy. Incorporate RNG. Adding randomness into a game means that the notion of predictability can, in some cases, be rendered completely obsolete. RNG is very often applied to things like enemies and items, but some games choose to incorporate it into the environment as well. Another solution is to have multiple solutions to any given problem. This kind of game design, however, requires a really strong understanding of how to limit and diversify certain in-game mechanics. A few games come to mind when I think of this. Let's start with the best, Hollow Knight. With 6 abilities, 3 spells, 4 upgrades, 6 ways to use a nail, and a colossal myriad of charms, it should come to no surprise that there are a great deal of options that any player has at their disposal. They can choose how they want to fight, how they want to move around the map, what charms fit their particular playstyle, and so on. But where this truly shines is when the player misses, forgets, or just avoids one of these abilities. Can't swim in acid? Just dash forehead. Don't have a double jump? Pogo off some spikes. No city crest? Literally kill yourself. There are alternative solutions to many problems and roadblocks in Hollow Knight. Multiple ways to get into each area of the game, and parts of this is due to clever map design. If I only had a map. But the majority of it is due to how much flexibility the skills and abilities provide the player with. Next game. I've yet to make a video that solely involves Celeste, but if I'm honest, I feel like this is mostly because I haven't beaten Farewell yet. DLC aside, I played through the entirety of the base game on stream, which happens every Saturday. Please be there, my chat bullies me into feminine clothing and I need love and support. But in all honesty, this game is a really strong testament to how you don't need copious variety to have flexibility. While Hollow Knight gives you so many choices and options as to how you might want to use each of these various skills in the game, Celeste only has 4 core functions that never change. A jump, a dash, a grab, and a climb. That's it. It's only when you start combining them in certain ways with precise timings that you can create a sort of synergy between them and achieve things that would otherwise be entirely impossible. One of the core game mechanics in Celeste is how everything conserves momentum. Everything. Be it Madeline herself, the platforms, heck, even these weird jellyfish things. Everything conserves momentum, and this has an insane number of uses. From being able to maintain your upwards velocity by changing an upwards dash into a wall grab and then into a jump, or throwing a jellyfish ahead of you only to catch up to it with a dash and reset it and grab it to send yourself even further forward. Oh yeah, and you can also just jump at the end of literally every dash movement to conserve your speed while in the air. And all of this was built on 4 simple mechanics. Because of it, there are so many interesting ways to go about each puzzle that Celeste provides. It's this very reason that it took off so fast in the speedrunning community. Next game, Jeeves! Another game that comes to mind when I think of flexibility is Dead Cells. Once again, I've never made a video on it, but I have streamed it live on twitch.tv/Windette. Please come watch it, it's a lot of fun and I want to keep making content for you people. The first use of flexible game design that roguelikes such as Dead Cells provide is the RNG-based level generation I talked about before. Each area of the game, with the exception of the boss arenas and between stages, are randomly generated before you reach them. The enemies that spawn in these areas, while set to certain groups, along with all the items on that stage, will also be randomized. As you progress through the game, both the enemies and the loot pool will continue expanding, adding more and more layers of unpredictability to the game. So, where does flexibility come into it? In the case of Dead Cells, it's all in the items. Do you like playing with a bit of distance between you and your enemies? Then you're more likely to pick up a bow and trap-related items. Prefer to be right up in the enemy's faces with high damage? Then pick melee weapons and bombs. Obviously, there are some brilliant overlaps here, like how you can use bombs from quite the distance away, and some bows are honestly better at melee than these slow-ass swords. But I digress. This is all to show how the player has control here based on the effectively limitless number of choices they can make. This is what makes the game flexible enough to bend around the players. There is one thing that I've yet to cover here though. It's rather important. Limits. Without limits to choices, limits to usage, limits to time, then the game once again becomes simple, predictable, Flexibility is only a positive addition to a game when just doing the same thing over and over again isn't fun or doesn't work. If this one sword has no limits, no downsides, nothing about it that attracts the usage of something else, then why use anything but that sword? If Madeline's dash was constantly up and never needed her to touch the ground to use it again, then why climb? Why even jump? If spells in Hollow Knight had no cooldown, or perhaps even so much as regain soul by dealing damage, then why would anyone ever use the nail? It just wouldn't make sense. Flexibility in games is designed to empower a player's ability to make their own choices, not allow them to become overpowered. If you let the player do whatever they want and get wherever they want in order to give them maximum flexibility, then the game just becomes challengeless and boring. Having limits in video games often promotes creativity and can easily encourage the players to test a game's capabilities and mechanics. Finding ways to have your character soar through the skies, clip through walls, shoot twice as fast, or stand on thin air. These discoveries not only promote intrigue and discussion within a game's community, but also lead players to have more fun. A glitch is much more interesting to stumble upon if you've got to look for it. Overview. So with that said, that was a little bit on flexible game design. I hope you all had a good chrism, even though it was posted, I guess, 5 days afterwards, and one of you people probably ended up watching this in the future, in which case, if this was not on the release date, then, I don't know, if you're commenting from the future or something, tell me everything and how it's changed and how 2020 hasn't actually ended after 365 days and keeps going. Whatever. I was also informed by people who joined my Discord server that they struggled to find it, even though it's in the description of every single video. Here's the link. Follow it, you thick-skulled morons. And while I'm at it, I also have a stream that I'd like you to participate in. It only happens once a fucking week, so do yourself a favor and enjoy spending an hour or so, depending on how short your attention span is, with me while I struggle through games like Risk of Rain 2 and Hades because my stream chat bullies me relentlessly. Now piss off.